The first time Elliot Reyes ordered me to stay, it sounded less like a command and more like a threat wrapped in shyness. And the worst part was that I actually stayed, even though every sane part of me screamed to walk away. That should have been my first warning sign. We met during a miserable fall semester at a community college in Oregon, where the rain never knew when to stop and neither did my string of bad decisions. I was late, soaked, and halfway through a panic attack when I burst into the campus library storage room after mistaking it for a hallway. And there he was, Elliot, the quiet guy every professor adored and every student overlooked, sitting cross-legged among stacks of returned books as if he were carved from stillness itself. He lifted his gaze, slow and steady, like he had been expecting me. "You're not supposed to be in here," he said. Then, after a long beat, "But you can stay." And somehow I did. It was strange how fast I noticed him. Elliot had this unnerving ability to make silence feel loud, to make eye contact feel like he was reading more than just your face. Maybe that was what drew me in. Or maybe I just liked trouble disguised as calm. Within a week, he was everywhere in my life. Or maybe I kept following him until he filled all the empty spaces. He always spoke gently, yet his words carried weight like he expected people to listen. I wasn't used to listening. I was used to running, dodging, laughing things off. But when Elliot said sit, I sat. When he said stay, I stayed. It should have terrified me more than it did. One late afternoon, while the library was nearly empty, he approached where I was slumped over a textbook I had no intention of reading. He placed a cup of coffee beside my hand. "Decaf," he said. "You get too jittery otherwise." I blinked. I never told him that. Not out loud. "How do you even know that?" He shrugged, almost bashful. "You talk more than you think you do." Felt intimate. Too intimate. And yet not enough. But beneath his quiet exterior, I sensed something simmering. A kind of intensity he hid behind polite smiles and neatly stacked books. It was subtle, like the way he watched me a moment too long or the way his fingers hovered near mine before retreating. He wanted something from me. Tension. Obedience. Maybe affection. I wasn't sure. And I wasn't sure why I wanted to give it to him. Things escalated the evening a blackout shut down half the campus. We were alone in the library, the emergency lights glowing faintly. I joked about ghosts just to hear him react, but instead he stepped closer. "Mason Clark, don't wander off. Stay with me." It wasn't a plea. It was an order. Quiet but absolute. Something warm tightened in my chest. Something confusing. Dangerous. "Good. Why do you care so much?" I asked. He stood inches from me, face half hidden in shadows. His voice dropped enough to make the hairs on my arms rise. "Because when you walk away, the room feels wrong. And I don't want it to feel wrong tonight. I should have run. I should have laughed it off. But my breath caught somewhere between my ribs and my throat. "Okay," I whispered. His shoulders loosened, and for the first time he touched me. Just a hand on the sleeve of my jacket, subtle but possessive. "Good." That single word curled around my spine. It shouldn't have felt good. It shouldn't have felt like relief. Yet there I was, letting a soft-spoken bookworm dictate my choices. But Elliot Reyes wasn't just quiet. He was observant, controlled, deeply emotional under all that stillness. He wanted connection but feared it. Needed closeness but only if he was the one setting the terms. I didn't realize it then, but we were already locked in a push and pull, each step pulling me deeper into something I couldn't yet name. People talk about falling in love like it's gentle, soft, like a flower blooming. But falling for Elliot felt like stepping into a current I didn't know was there until it pulled me under. It wasn't painful, just disorienting. A slow surrender disguised as curiosity. The turning point came 2 weeks later on a rooftop behind the science building, a place he said he retreated to when the world felt too loud. He had dragged me there on a chilly evening, insisting I follow without explaining why. "Just trust me," he said. Another order. Another one I obeyed without thinking. "Mason," he murmured, facing the skyline, "do you ever feel like you're about to break but can't tell whether it's in a good way or a bad way?" I laughed softly. "Most days." He turned to me, eyes glinting with an emotion I couldn't decode. "I think you're breaking me," he said. and I hate it, but I don't want you to stop. My heart stuttered. Elliot, I don't even know what we're doing. You don't have to, he whispered. You just have to stay. And for reasons I couldn't explain, staying felt like the only right answer. I stepped closer, closing the distance he kept testing. His breath hitched. We stood inches apart, the city below blurring into streaks of gold and blue. Tell me to stay again, I said. He swallowed hard. Stay. My chest tightened. My pulse tripped. Okay. He exhaled shakily, relief and hunger flickering across his face. And then, for the first time, he smiled fully. Soft, vulnerable, real. That was the moment everything shifted. That was the moment I stopped pretending I wasn't falling. And the moment he realized just how much control he actually had over me. He didn't kiss me that night. I thought he would. Maybe I even wanted him to. But instead, he stepped back, almost trembling from how much he seemed to want and fear me at the same time. Then he whispered goodnight and left me on that rooftop, breathless and confused, wanting more and terrified of how badly I wanted it. Over the next week, everything shifted, quietly, subtly, like the slow tightening of a thread you don't notice until it tugs hard enough to pull you off balance. Elliot became bolder in small, deliberate ways. He didn't raise his voice or invade my space. He didn't need to. All he had to do was say Mason and I'd pause, look at him, wait for whatever came next. Sometimes he would guide me with a hand at the small of my back. Sometimes he would tilt my chin up with just one finger. He always asked for nothing, but his eyes asked for everything. And I gave in every time, even when my stomach twisted with nerves. You're letting him boss you around, my coworker at the coffee shop teased when she caught me staring at my phone, waiting for his next text. It's not like that, I said. But the denial felt weak, even to me. Because the truth was, I didn't feel controlled. I felt chosen, seen, wanted in a way that was both gentle and overwhelming. Then came the night everything cracked open. We were supposed to study, but neither of us was pretending anymore. Elliot sat across from me in my small apartment, his ankle brushing mine under the table, sending sparks up my leg each time it happened. He watched me read, though I barely processed a single sentence. After a long moment, he said, Mason, look at me. I did. His voice dropped. Come here. I pushed back my chair and walked toward him, pulse thundering. He stood slowly, like he was afraid he'd startle me, but there was something fierce beneath the caution, something claiming me long before he touched me. He lifted his hand, hesitated for half a second, then rested it on my jaw. You make me feel out of control, he murmured. It scares me. I leaned into his palm. So tell me what you need. His breath trembled. Stay. The word was so soft it barely existed, yet it filled every corner of the room. I'm right here, I whispered. Then he kissed me. It wasn't gentle. It wasn't hesitant. It was years of silence and longing and hunger pressed into one desperate, trembling moment. I grabbed his shirt. He pulled me closer, holding me like he'd been waiting forever. When we finally broke apart, we were both gasping. Mason, he whispered, forehead pressed to mine. I don't want to hurt you. You're not, I said. You're just intense. He flinched. Too intense. No, I corrected softly. Just real. Something in him softened, melted, like no one had ever said that to him before. He kissed me again, slower this time, a fragile tenderness woven between our breaths. For a while, everything was simple, sweet, carefully balanced. But life never likes balance for long. I didn't see the storm coming until it hit. A week later, I bailed on a study session because of an emergency shift at work. By the time I got off, exhausted and smelling like espresso syrup, Elliot was waiting outside the shop. At first, I thought he'd simply wanted to walk me home. But when I stepped toward him, he looked upset, guarded, wound tight. You didn't answer my messages, he said quietly. I told you I had to work. You always tell me. But tonight you didn't. My throat tightened. Elliot, I wasn't avoiding you. I was literally running around for 6 hours straight. He looked away, jaw clenching. I know. I know it wasn't intentional. It just felt like you vanished. I stepped closer, touching his hand. Hey, I'm here now. He didn't pull away, but he didn't immediately relax either. I don't want to be the person who needs you too much, he said softly. My heart cracked. Needing someone isn't a crime. It feels like one, he whispered. I squeezed his fingers. Then let's figure it out together. His breath unsteady, he finally met my eyes. Tell me you're staying. I smiled gently. I'm staying, but I need you to trust that even when I'm not next to you, I'm not leaving. Something flickered in his expression, hope slowly replacing fear. He exhaled shakily. Then he leaned his forehead against my shoulder and whispered, I'm trying. We walked home hand in hand, and for the first time he let me lead the pace, not the other way around. That became our new balance. His intensity softened by honesty, my independence anchored by his emotional gravity. It wasn't perfect. Some nights he needed reassurance. Some nights I needed space. Some nights we simply held each other until the world felt less sharp. But our rooftop, became the place where everything came full circle. One warm night in early spring, we climbed the steps again. The wind soft, the city humming below. Elliot stood beside me, closer than ever. Mason, he said, voice steady. Do you feel like you're still drowning? I shook my head. No, not with you. He nodded slowly. Good, because I think I'm learning how to let go without losing you. I laced our fingers together. Funny, I think I'm learning how to stay without feeling trapped. He laughed softly. An unguarded, beautiful sound I'd never heard before. The tension that once defined us had faded into something calmer, deeper. He turned to me, eyes warm. I don't want to order you anymore. I know, I said. But if I did, he added gently, it would only be this. He stepped closer, heart in his voice. Stay with me, not because I'm asking, but because you want to. I cupped his face, felt the heat in his cheeks, the vulnerability in every breath he took. I'm staying, I whispered. Always. He kissed me. Slow, certain, full of everything we had survived to reach this moment. And for the first time, there was no push or pull, no fear or confusion. Just us, choosing each other. Under the warm American night sky, we held on, and neither of us let go. Thank you for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe to stay updated with the latest videos.